Why do photographers charge so much money? That's the question one person had when they tweeted out, am I the only one that thinks photographers charge too much? Why are 10 edited pictures with one outfit $400 to $800? Why aren't your prices on your website? Why do I have to hop on a call to go over pricing? Why do you charge extra for me to have the rights to pics I paid for? And the photography community was not happy with this statement of questions. A thread. I saw a lot of threads going on under there, a lot of comments. If it's too expensive for you, then just take photos of yourself on your iPhone. I can't believe in 2021 we still have to explain why good photography costs so much. If you want cheaper photos, there are many photographers with rates less than $400 because photography is a luxury and an investment. If you can't afford a good photographer, take them yourself. Simple. If you think photographers are extravagant in their pricing, buy your own camera and use it to take your own photos. Or when you need to learn how to shoot and edit, or better still, use your phone camera. Then keep that cash to yourself. So yeah, the photography community was not happy with this, as you can see by some of the replies. And also, it's worth mentioning that this person who tweeted this out had a chat with a photographer after this. So I think that's amazing. You know, for me, I don't think that she was asking it to be malicious. I truly think that she was just curious because photography can be very complicated. And honestly, she asked some pretty good questions. So I thought, let's answer them in this video because we know why we charge that much, but do other people know why we charge like $800 for one outfit? Some people are just not gonna know and they're not gonna understand. They can't relate to us. They've never had to hold a 70-pound lens and a 50,000-pound backpack. For instance, have you ever cried over a hard drive? Well, I have. But I don't expect somebody to understand why I would do that if they weren't a photographer and had like a 60 gigabyte wedding. Like I probably took like 500 pictures, but then the raw files are just getting larger and larger. Why are 10 edited pictures with one outfit $400 to $800? Great question. Okay, so I'm gonna be reading from my notes because I wrote this all down. It's important to mention that we're not just talking about editing 10 photos. I think people see 10 edited photos and then this giant number and they're like, wow, that's a lot of money. But we're not talking about the process to get to the 10 edits. So let's talk about that. The inquiry about the photo shoot, you know, we have to email back and forth, get the details right, times, dates, scheduling. Sometimes I do meet up with my clients if it is necessary. Other photographers also do that. You know, we have the contracts. We have, again, planning the photo shoot, locations, your ideas, the shots that you want. We always ask for our clients' input. And then location choices is also a big one. Do we need a permit? Are we allowed to shoot here? What's the time of day like how's it gonna match with the style that you want? And then driving to the location and then actually doing the photo shoot for however long that may take, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, maybe it's a bigger project. And then going home and uploading all of the photos. And that could be anywhere from 100 pictures to 2,000 pictures, 3,000 pictures. If it's a wedding, definitely you're talking 3,000 photos or something in that ballpark. Wedding photography, I do wedding photography and it's a lot of pictures and a lot of space. And then looking through all of the photos, culling them, which means cutting them down to only the best ones so you don't have to look through all of my 3,000 pictures. So when you actually, as the client, get a gallery of maybe 300 photos, what you may not know is that your photographer actually cut that down, or in many cases they cull them, and they cut it down from maybe 500-600 photos. So again, you can just look at all the best ones, and that takes time to look through all those, like 500 plus photos. It takes a while. And then we send you all the best culled photos to pick your favorites in a gallery on a website that we have to pay to host the images on. So the super nice gallery that you get with that's password protected, you know, we pay for that. And we have to host the images, we have to upload all those images on there. And then we edit the photos that you choose. And you may have changes that you want to make, and we have to make those changes. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll do a round of revisions. So I'll send my clients the photos that I color toned, and then sometimes my client will be like, hey, I want this in black and white. Hey, I want this done to it. Can you remove this? I want the colors changed. Don't like the tones. So those are changes that sometimes we do have to make. And 10 edits, let's think about this for a second. Even let's say you take 30 minutes per photo, 30 minutes per each image, and you have 10 edits. That's still 300 minutes. So is that 5 hours? I don't know, I'm terrible at math, but you guys could do the math here. You know, it still takes a lot of time to edit per photo, especially, again, if it's wedding photography. If it's portrait photography, you have to do skin retouching. So that all takes time. Plus all the time spent learning about photography. And now we're kind of separating ourselves from the actual photo shoot process, and we're going kind of back in time to the photographer actually learning how to get the image that was produced for you. So that is learning about photography, buying all the gear. We do test shoots so that we can practice. We upgrade our gear so that we can stay, you know, with the newest products, with the best of the best, so that we can get you the nicest photos, even though gear doesn't always, you don't always have to have I still have my camera from like the last 3 years. I didn't upgrade yet, but we do upgrade lenses. We can upgrade light modifiers. We can upgrade to a new, I don't know, whatever it may be. We're always constantly upgrading our gear. We have lights. That could be light modifiers. Maybe you want more studio photography. Maybe you'd rather not be outside for your photo shoot. We need the actual strobe, the light, and then we need the modifier to create the type of light that you want. Maybe you want more harsh light, maybe you want more soft light. We have to have a specific modifier for that, and that stuff gets so expensive and it takes up so much space. Plus, you need the tripods to hold the light modifiers, and then you might need extra batteries. And also, we have things like reflectors, camera bags to hold all of our gear. We have editing programs like Lightroom and Photoshop to edit your photos on, which, by the way, they charge monthly for that. It's really not cheap, Photoshop and Lightroom. And those are just the two editing programs that I use. There probably are more out there. And then you need a good laptop that's reliable, that's not gonna crash on you. You also need good gear insurance. Just in case something happens, you might crack your lens, you gotta pay for that. And you gotta have your stuff covered. And this stuff costs a lot of money, which I will get into. Then you need online storage and offline storage. That's the thing that really gets me every time, and that's really tough for photographers, is we just never have enough space. All of the sessions that we do, I mean, you're talking about 3 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes for maybe like maybe like a client shoot, and then you're talking upwards of 50 gigabytes to maybe 100 gigabytes for wedding photography if you have a second shooter. So you're talking about so much space. You need somewhere to store that space. And guess what? We're not just gonna put it on one hard drive, we're gonna back it up and put it on a second hard drive. So we need double the space, because if our hard drive crashes with your photos on it, we wanna make sure we have a backup. So we do all this to make sure that your photos are in good hands and we don't lose them for you. And then we need photography galleries to send you the pictures on. You know, you gotta see them somehow. We can't just send them through text message. There's a lot of pictures. You have to have somewhere professional that looks good, that we can show you all the pictures that you can choose at your discretion. Again, that looks very professional. That stuff gets really expensive to host your images on that website. Also, a portfolio website. You definitely need a portfolio website to house all your images on, and I definitely have mine. You have to pay for it monthly or annually. It costs a lot of money, a lot of time to set it up. I didn't even mention studios or the cost of rent and all that other stuff. You could just add it on there, add it to the list. And when it comes to photography, camera gear is very expensive. Here's my camera body with my lens. Now, you can buy the camera body on its own, because it sometimes comes on its own, and you can buy the lens separate, which is what a lot of photographers do. They don't buy, like sometimes you can buy it as a kit, which means you get both of these together, the camera lens and the camera body. But most of the time, photographers end up buying a camera body and then the lens that they prefer, because sometimes they don't like the kit lens. Let me tell you how much just the camera body costs on its own. This is my Canon 5D Mark IV. It's an older version. It's not like the newest. Now they have the mirrorless cameras, but this is still like professional grade. This is a professional grade camera body. This retails for $2,500, okay? Even though now you could probably find it used for way less, it still retails for this amount, okay? Again, that is without the lens. The lenses can sometimes be even more expensive than the camera body. So let me give you an example. The Canon R6, which is a mirrorless camera. So think of it like the newest iPhone, I guess, like a new upgrade. Just think of like the newest upgrade, newest technology. It's a mirrorless Canon R6. It retails for $2,500. $2,500 just for the camera body by itself. No lenses included. And we're talking about you have to buy extra batteries for that, extra camera charger, battery charger for that as well. You can't just have one battery. God forbid you forget to charge it on your photo shoot and then you can't take any pictures because you don't have an extra battery. So you got to have extra batteries for that. $2,500. So just think that's like the bare minimum, the actual camera body. Then we're talking about the lenses. The 24-70 that I use for a lot of my weddings and fashion photography, $1,900 it retails for. $1,900. You could probably buy used. I bought mine used. It was still over $1,000. It's still very expensive. 85 millimeter 1.4 lens, $1,600. 50 millimeter 1.2 lens, $1,400. Or you could do the 50 millimeter 1.4 lens. It's still $400. So you're spending at least $3,000 just on the bare minimum for photography, a camera body and a camera lens. At least $3,000 investment. For professional grade equipment, this is, and I'm talking about someone who's going to be shooting weddings, professional jobs, clients. This is, again, professional grade gear. There, of course, there are cameras that cost less than what I have, less than the mirrorless ones. But I'm talking about top of the line. You want a photographer who has the newest gear. That's what I'm talking about. Again, yeah, you could probably get it cheaper, but this is this is just the standard of what we deal with. Just a lot of large costs for our gear. And also maintaining the gear, taking care of everything, and then buying accessories for our camera. You know, some of us have the battery pack, and some of us have reflectors, some of us have flashes, on-camera flashes. Those can cost $300 to $1,000 just for the flash, so we can make sure that we got something going on if it's dark in your venue. We have a flash, an on-camera flash. Or we have to bring our giant flashes with us. You know, it's just a whole, I could go on and on and on about this. Moving on to the next one. Why aren't your prices on your website? Really good question. I love this question actually. Why aren't our prices on our website? Some photographers have custom packages and pricing, and they cater to certain events and clients. So maybe they do want you to call or reach out to them personally so that they can explain their custom packages, or maybe they're constantly changing their packages and pricing, or maybe they have more than one package for a certain thing and they just want to know which one you want to see. Maybe that could be the case too. You know, there's weddings, there's fashion photography, portraits, family pictures, and these prices could all be different depending on what you want as a client. And some people have budgets for a shoot that they want, so maybe they actually want to work around a budget so the photographer can accommodate instead of scaring away potential clients with the pricing on their website. Maybe they just want a chance to kind of talk about it before you see a price, like a number on their website, and just go, no, I can't do this. Because if you actually reach out to them and email with them, maybe you guys can actually work something out. And sometimes the photographer doesn't even do the type of photography that you may be asking for. So maybe they don't want to send out their prices and spend time answering questions for clients that are not going to fit their work. That could also be a possibility. So there's just so many reasons as to why they may not have their prices on their website or their packages. Why do I have to hop on a call to go over pricing? I think the original tweet actually serves as sort of an answer for this, because as you can see, you do have a lot of questions about why we're charging for these amount of photos and why we don't have the prices on our website. All of these questions could be answered over the phone. And I think that somebody's tone can really help so that you don't kind of misconstrue anything. Photographers can answer any questions their client has on, again, pricing, budgets, amount of photos. All of this can be resolved in a single phone call versus going back and forth through email. Why do you charge me extra to have the rights for the pictures that I paid for?
Hey guys, I'm in the middle of editing this. I just want to say I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. If you have any questions about image copyright, image usage, contact your lawyer.
I'm going to read something that I found on Alpine. Photos and images are intellectual property. As such, photo ownership starts and almost always stays with the photographer. Hiring a photographer doesn't change the ownership. So what if you hire a photographer? Won't this mean the photos belong to you? Actually, no. Even when you hire a photographer for a dedicated photo shoot, the employment is typically a contractor relationship. Therefore, the photographer will still be the owner of the resulting photos, and the photographer may grant you an unlimited license for these photos, but legal ownership stays with the photographer. Here's something else from Photo Focus. If a model pays the photographer for a shoot, for example, to build their portfolio, the photographer still owns the copyright unless the photographer transfers ownership of copyright in a written contract. In trade for print or TFP shoots where neither photographer nor model is getting paid, the photographer still owns the copyright. So in either case, if the photographer is being paid or the photographer is not being paid, they still own the copyright. So essentially, you are paying for the service, not for the rights to the photos. So what you can do though, is just like any wedding client, you can use them personally. You can post them on social media, you can print them out, put them up on your house. Actually, you can't print them out because you need permission from the photographer. So a lot of times people will try to print their photos out. Like my wedding clients have gone to like a shop and they went to print out their wedding pictures, and the people told them that they cannot print these pictures without permission from the photographer. So I actually have to sign a piece of paper saying that I give them permission to print out the photos. So that also is a thing. You do need the photographer's permission. It's the same thing if you buy a song. Like if you buy Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again, doesn't mean that you can go sell her music or redistribute it. That's illegal. So same thing with photographers. Just because you pay us to take your pictures doesn't mean that you actually own those photos. Copyright stays with the photographer. Again, unless they sign it over to you. If you do want to use the photos commercially, there are things like image licensing. There's certain usages that maybe you can use it only for like 6 months on this one website and only in the United States. So there's just so much that goes into image licensing on its own. It's a nightmare. I hate image licensing. Hopefully that gave you some clarity on why photographers charge so much money and why we do the things that we do. I think it's really important that we have conversations about this so that we can inform more people. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys want to see in the next one, and I'll see you in the next video. Did I just say that 2 times? I don't even know. I've been talking for the last like 3 hours.